Hello and welcome back. Gonna get started on our part 2 of making a small parang. I wanted to talk just for a minute today about my process. Those of you that are tuning in because you like to watch the forging videos, I appreciate you being here. My process on this knife on the forge is pretty well done now. The rest of this process will be done mainly grinding. If you're a fan of the show Forged in Fire, or you've even watched it on TV, you know the round 1, round 2. So the part 1 of this making a small parang was kind of like the round 1 on Forged in Fire. And now I'm going to be at the grinder and get a lot of that work done, and then eventually I'll move on to making the handle. So got a little 3-inch bench grinder here. This wheel is kind of does some polishing for me, and then the nice thing about this grinder is that it has a die grinder attachment that goes on the end over here, so when I have to do certain things. It's a 1-inch belt grinder that'll do a lot of the grinding on my bevel for me. I've got a 4-inch angle grinder that I'll use for cleaning up, and then I got another 6-inch bench grinder. And then I got a full set of files. So those are the basic tools I'll be using to get through this process. And of course my PPE, this is a respirator. I keep it in a bag to try and keep it as clean as possible. You can see the dirt on the bag. If I left the respirator out, all that dirt would be in the respirator too. So I try to keep it as clean as I possibly can. And then a pair of goggles. That's a cheap pair of goggles, but I use these rubber goggles because they fit over my eyeglasses. So one of the things I did not mention when I was talking about my PPE is my apron. I have set a couple of shirts on fire from sparks off of the angle grinder, so good to have this apron on and protect me from setting myself on fire. It's raining today, so you probably can hear the rain beating down on the roof of the shop, but we got the basic profile cleaned up to what I want it to be. Now I just got to start working on the bevel and cleaning this blade up a bit. See if you can see that. I have a little bit of a stress crack right here. It's not where I bent the blade, but somewhere in the process I created a stress crack. I think it's just a surface crack and I can take it out with the grinder, but I'm kind of focusing on that right now. One of the things I failed to mention when I was talking about PPE is some ear protection as well. You know, when you're doing a lot of grinding, if you don't do something for your ears, you'll be walking around with your ears ringing all day long. It's just a little cheap thing I bought from, I don't know, a dollar store. We are, as far as making a little bit of progress on this profile. Now I've done, you can see how that it looks when the light hits it. I've done that work with the angle grinder because I had a lot of material to take off. You can kind of see where there's a beginning of a bevel that was mostly hammered in already at the forge, but just trying to clean up the surface of the blade a little bit. I did have quite a bit of material I wanted to remove, and the angle grinder makes it quick. The point I'm trying to make with the angle grinder is make sure you got a lot of material to work with if you're messing around with the angle grinder. It's real easy to create highs and lows, spots throughout the blade that are a real bear to get out later on when you're trying to finish this thing off if you take it too far with the angle grinder. So there's our basic profile of the knife. I like the way it's coming out. It looks pretty good. So I'm back on this belt grinder. I haven't showed a lot of video footage of the actual grinding process because it's boring as heck to watch somebody grind. So just kind of talk about it for just a second and show you where we are on the next steps on this project. Making a small my 1-inch belt grinder, and this is what I do the rest of the grinding on after that rough grind you saw with the angle grinder. I've made some progress on the belt grinder, still got a little bit of work to do. Basically, I'm just grinding the knife across the belt grinder, and then the same with the opposite side in the opposite direction, and kind of with the firm pressure against this platen on the grinder. Trying to work on that low spot right there and get that out of there. Can you see it? Sorry about that. Bad camera shot. So I've been grinding away. I got the edge geometry on this knife pretty much where I want it. This is all done with the 60 grit belt. It's fairly clean. I got rid of the highs and low spots that I wanted to take out. I got a little bit of work to do. You know, it's nowhere close to having a cutting edge on it, but it's consistent all the way across the edge, and I got my bevel in there the way I want it. So I'm going to start to move up in grit and get this blade finished out. This is a convex edge. You may have heard of hollow grinds and flat grinds, and this knife is for chopping. So I wanted to have a good support for the edge of the blade, and with the tools that I have, I actually get a better result going with the convex grind. So I'm going to go ahead and do some more grinding on this with some higher grits, but I think I'm going to wrap up this part 2 video and then come back with a part 3 when I start putting this handle together, and I'll at that time be able to show you what the finish on the blade looks like. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I sure appreciate all your support. Have a great day.